Hi, in this video, we'll just see what is acutherapy. We call it a therapy because in therapies, you don't have any medicines which you ingest. You have allopathic medicine, homeopathic medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, etc. But we have yoga therapy, marma therapy, physiotherapy, similarly, acutherapy. So in acutherapy, what is done is different points on the body are stimulated for therapeutic value. So the question would arise, what are the points we have to select? How do we stimulate? And how is it therapeutic? So for that, we will see what is the concept of our health and disease as perceived by acutherapists. So one of the oldest strategies or philosophies of acutherapy is acupuncture, originated or at least popularized in China. And it was rampantly used, but in between, the therapy had a low profile. Again, after a couple of years, centuries, since about a century, it's again now very, very popular. So acupuncture is now accepted all over the West as a seasoned therapy. And there are many, many case studies where people have undergone surgery without anesthesia with the help of acupuncture. Now let's see what is this acupuncture and acutherapy from a Chinese perspective. So acu means needle-like points on the body. So over observation over a number of years, the Chinese found that when there is a stimulation of certain points on the body, then it has an effect on the health of the body. So in one of the Chinese literature, there's a very famous story where an emperor supposedly had stammering. And in the war, his thumb got cut and he found that his stammering had gone. And just to see if the two are related, he called a lot of people in his town who had stammering and he cut all their thumbs and he found that majority of them, the stammering got cured. So this is just a story. But like this, over observation, people found that stimulation, pricking at a particular point had therapeutic value. So we'll first see where these points are. And now I'll show you a model. Just look at this model. So you can see a number of points here. And they're not random. You see, there is a pattern to it. And there are a lot of points on the face, and then a lot of points on the head, at the back, on the arms, in the front, on your chest, and then on your legs, in the front part, at the back of the legs, on your butt, and even on your toes, and on your fingers. Okay? And this, whatever I'm showing, this is a mapping of the Chinese acupoints. So there are around 361 main points on the body. Now let's observe a few things. These points are not randomly located. And you see there are some lines drawn. So these points are located along some lines, specified lines on the body. Okay, like this. So you see it is like this and coming and ending in the thumb. You can see many points and you can see even at the back, there are all lines coming. So these points, what people found was when they used to poke, maybe with a metal needle or with a thorn or with sharpened stones, and they would poke and bleed certain points for certain problems, So over usage and observations over hundreds of years, there's a well-documented literature available about what is the effect of each of these points on the body's health, So now, why And what are these points? Now let's just see what is our body made of. So the basic unit of the body is a cell. And the cell is a very nice name because we also call a battery a cell, right? And literally every cell in our body is a battery. A normal battery we use for, say, a TV remote or a torch is around 1.5 volts. The volt is like an electric pressure of the battery. And every cell in our body has a voltage of around 25 to 30 millivolts. So understand that your entire body is made up of trillions of small batteries, which are the cells. Okay. Now we know a group of cells forms a tissue, a group of tissues form an organ, and a group of organs form an organ system like a digestive system, reproductive system, nervous system. And a group of organs form an organ system, and a group of organ systems form the organism. But now, what is the difference between a dead organism and a live organism? If you cut open a dead body, you would still see the organs, you would see the organ systems, you would see the blood vessels, you would see everything which you see in a live body. The only thing missing there is the heartbeat. And what does this heartbeat literally do? It makes the energy flow through the body. So the difference between a living organism and a dead organism is the life force. And our ancient, all over the world, everywhere, they realized that there is something more to than the body, just the body. And this life force goes by different names. In India, we call it as the prana or the chetana. The Chinese call it as ki, qi, standing for energy, or shi, chi. The Japanese call it as ki. So all these mean energy. So fundamentally, a living organism has a continuous flow of energy. And this energy, they believed, is not randomly flowing through your body, but is flowing along pathways, specified pathways. Okay? And these pathways, the Chinese called it as meridians. They called it as meridians. So what are meridians? Meridians are pathways along which energy flows, along which energy flows. And there are many pathways, many such pathways. So in the Chinese acu perspective, there are 14 main meridians. And along these meridians, of course, we have infinite points. There are some points which are crucial. Okay. So the perspective of a disease is entirely with respect to the concept of energy. So to put it in simple words, a disease is when there is an energy imbalance, when you have excess energy in the body. So what will happen? For example, you get restless, you have attention deficiency, you always want to be involved in activity, high BP, high blood palpitations, etc. That is excess of energy, not good at all. You can have a deficit of energy, very lethargic, lazy, you don't feel like doing anything, feeling depressed. There's an energy imbalance. So energy imbalance in the body causes disease. And there is an energy flow continuously. Now this flow can become stagnated. Tumors, cysts, clots, there's no energy flow. Or the energy can flow in the opposite direction. For example, when you vomit, your food is supposed to go downward, it comes out, right? And in your heart, there's a pattern for the blood flow through the heart valves and the heart chamber. So if it reverses, you have an issue. So we call it as a contraction of energy. So the main concept of disease in acutherapy is that every disease is caused by an imbalance or a change in the flow of energy. And this energy flows in specified paths along the body. These paths are called as meridians. And remember, these meridians are not anatomical parts, which means that if you cut open the body, you cannot see a meridian. You cannot see a meridian. But I'm sure intuitively we all can relate to it, because we all know that all our activities, including our thoughts, are connected with energy. Now, having this concept in place, the entire gamut of acute therapy deals with this. How do I balance and maintain the energy flow in the body? As simple as that. Okay. So what has to be done, and what was found and observed is that by stimulating specific points, on the body, the energy got balanced in some channel. So obviously, you have to find out where there is which channel there is an energy imbalance and treat that particular channel. So in further videos, we'll see how to do the treatment and how to know which channel is affected. Here we only go with the concept. So the entire concept of acutherapy is stimulation of these points along the meridians or energy paths. These points are called as acute points. Now, what does the stimulation do? So the stimulation is on the skin. So how do I stimulate? So say, supposing I have to stimulate this particular point, I can take a needle and prick here, right? Or I can put a pressure. I can just put a pressure to stimulate that point. Or I can use some magnet. I can use some small magnet here and stimulate it. Or I can use color, because color is a wave, right? Every color, every light has a wavelength, a frequency, and a particular energy associated with it. So I can use color, or I can use seeds, or I can use seeds. So these are different ways of stimulating these acupoints on the body. Now, what exactly happens when we stimulate? So for a long time, people found that this was therapeutic by observation. And since we didn't have instrumentation, the scientific reason behind this was not known. Even today, there's a lot of research going on about why acupressure, acupuncture, etc. works. So one of the reasons is this. They have found now that at these identified acupoints, the resistance of the skin is different. Now, how does this resistance affect? Remember, I told you every cell in your body is an electric cell. It's a battery. Okay. And all the information in your body is carried by electric impulses. So when your brain tells your hand to lift, then there is an electric impulse sent from the brain along a particular path for you to lift the hand. So every single action is to do with electric impulses. Okay. So when we stimulate, what actually happens is that beneath the skin, the cells get excited, and there is momentarily a transient, what we call as impulse in engineering. That means your battery, you can just visualize as a layperson, the small current is there in every cell. And this sets a series of actions, series of impulses along a particular path. And coming from an engineering background, I found this very, very interesting and extremely good. So if you apply a pressure, yes, the nerves are getting stimulated, and so the potential below this is getting changed, and it is sending transient impulses. The same thing happens when you prick. And when you put a color, right, you're exciting it with a particular frequency. Every color has a particular frequency. And when you put a seed, the seed applies pressure on the point. So that's how acupressure works. Okay. So to put it shortly, acutherapy works on energizing points on the body for therapeutic value. Okay. And the mainstreams of acupressure are very, very widely used. The Chinese acupressure, also called as the traditional Chinese medicine, TCM. And we have Sujok, which is a contribution from Korea. Su stands for hands and jok for legs in Korean language. So Sujok is hands and legs. So your entire body is mapped on your hands and your feet, and pressure is given at different points. So Sujok uses mainly a pressure using fingers or pressure using seats. And we have our own Indian Ayurvedic acupressure. So this combines the philosophy of acupressure and Ayurveda principles of ancient Indian medicine, and a whole new field of acupressure has come up called as Ayurvedic acupressure. So in the subsequent videos, we'll be seeing more of this in detail. I would recommend all of you to watch the videos and get used to acutherapy, and all of you can treat yourself for very common illnesses and those in your family, and you can be medicine free for most of your problems. I am not underplaying the role of medicine, but I'm telling you that for a lot of things, you need not take medicine. You have a headache, you have a stomach upset, you have gastric problem, you have varicose veins, you have knee pain, wrist pain, hand pain. For none of these, you need to take medicines. You can treat it with acupressure. So be on the lookout for more